because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.
Razaban IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast.
Come on, get in the mix, man.
The dynamic duo, Johnny Nelson and Spencer Oliver. Gents, we just saw the weigh-in. What do you take from it?
I think Lawrence has been passively aggressive all week. He's been smart about it, very matter of fact about it. I actually think there's a lot of pressure on him to make sure he gets this job done. He'll be in the who needs him club anyhow. He has nothing to offer. Right now, fighters have to fight because he's the world champion. He's a fighter that it's always back to front. You've got some fighters that don't have the confidence to match the ability. He has the confidence that he doesn't have the ability to match his confidence. Until that time comes, and when it does come, he'll be such a dangerous fighter. But right now, the opponents that are there, they'll avoid him like they're playing because he hits too hard, he's too big, he's too unorthodox. And so therefore he can develop slowly but surely. 9 weeks ago, he boxes back in the mix again. If I was him, get this job done, I say I want to be out in another 9 weeks. That will develop him massively, really quick.
Yeah, I just sort of agree with Johnny, really. Look, this is a huge fight. Both guys know what they're going into in this one. I think for Chris Smith, you know, home advantage could be crucial. I think that 15,000 fans he's going to have in there. He's going to need them at some point in this fight because stylistically, they will clash. You know, they've both sparred over 300 rounds together. You know, so what Chris has got over all the other opponents that Lawrence has boxed is that... Yeah, the familiarity that he knows what he's going into. So when people box Lawrence Okoli, they go, right, I know that he's an awkward guy. And when they come out after, they go, wow, I didn't realise he was that awkward and he's that strong inside and blah, blah. Chris Smith knows him inside out, and they're confident in the job in hand. Like, you know, and
there was one thing
that's fascinating.
So there's one thing that I heard. These two had not sparred together. A year before, Lawrence left the gym, number one. Number two, I thought to myself, did Shane and Chris think, you know, potentially you two could fight each other and keep them apart? Or was it the fact that Lawrence was always knocking the confidence of Chris because Chris was not developing in his mental confidence in sparring? He thought, I've got to keep you two apart because that's what Brendan used to do. He's make sure one kid not going with the other to develop the other kid. So maybe Lawrence has always had his number. And well, that's why.
Here's a nice little line that I heard actually from Lawrence Okoli saying, you know what? He said, we used to spar together. He said, but Chris was always his kid. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? He said, I come to the gym, but Chris was always his kid. And he said, after we done sparring, I would go home and him and Chris would go for coffee and talk about the sparring sessions, how it went, you know, what he needed to improve.
That, man.
Listen,
I'm using that shit. I'm scared.
This baby comes up with this stuff. You know what I mean? So yeah, and he says, so Lawrence says, you know, they used to always be like it was like his boy. Yeah. And he said, you know, they would talk about what he needed to work on. He said he never got that love from them, and that's a really interesting thing. You know, like I say, you know, I interviewed Shane earlier on in the week, and you know when you interview someone and you interview them, and it's like when you're fighting someone, you think, fuck, he's up for it. I know he's up for it. Or another time you think, I've got him. Or whatever. When I interviewed Shane, I said, like, you know, how did you see the fight going? You know it's a tough fight. You know both guys inside out. And there's that little smirk on his face where I go, we know what Shane McGuigan's like. And I go, I don't believe Shane would want to put Chris in there because Chris is his boy. And I don't believe he'd put him in there unless he was truly confident of victory. You know, and that's what I'm reading into it. Like, you know, I'm no Mystic Meg, mate. Don't get me wrong.
You know what? Spenny's a guy that he gets where grass can't, man. He gets information. People, I'm thinking, how do you find that out? I'm going to him for information before we go in there.
Yeah. Boys, you know, as ex-fighters, when you've got fans cheering for you and then you got fans being hostile and booing you, does that have an effect on a fighter?
As a look, we're on the end of a pier. Like you felt the roar, you felt the vibe of the pro Chris Smith crowd. Can you imagine we're in a stadium, a sold out stadium with 15,000 people, and that is stadium noise. So and this is the first time you're probably thinking, shit, man. So if you're a weak fighter, if that's going to intimidate you at all, situations like this will break you. I think Lawrence is happy being the villain in this situation, and he don't care because he knows the stick he got after the David Light fight, the stick he gets after the fight. He used to being the guy that's not really invited to the party, but you've got to have him in. And Chris is that guy, and Lawrence is that guy. So Lawrence will say, you know what, I'll take it as long as I can.
You've seen both men come face to face for the very, very last time. Final prediction, gents, what happens?
You couldn't read really much into that because they both know what they're going into. They both know each other inside out. They've both got unbelievable respect for each other. They both know it's going to be a hard fight. I think it's all about tactics, what it comes down to, if anyone makes any fundamental mistakes. But what did I take from that stare off there? Nothing. I think they both respect each other enough to not trash talk each other because they both know that they are bringing it and they both know it's a winnable fight. So, yeah, didn't take anything from it. Spoke to Coley after actually. He said, "What did you expect?" He went, "I know what I'm going into. I know the reality."
Who did you pick? I just missed that. Who did you pick?
I picked. No, do you want to hear it? Do you want to hear who I'm picking? Yeah. So I think that it's Chris Billam-Smith's moment, and I think Chris Billam-Smith wins. I think he wins the fight. I think he finds a way.
I know what it sounds really bad, and I expect Lawrence Coley to win. But for business,
hold on. No, you can't sit on the line like that.
It'd be better if Chris won. Listen, when Chris boxed my friend Isaac Chambers the last time, I wanted Isaac to win. Isaac's my boy. But you know what, mate? We can't come back to Bournemouth again. Now for business, can you imagine every time he fights, this happens?
But your boxing head though, what are you saying?
My boxing head says Lawrence Coley hits too hard. Chris Billam-Smith is too easy to hit. I think Chris Billam-Smith needs a career best performance, a Roy of the Rover star performance. His wife and his kids were here. His fans are here. They walk and talk this. He needs that everything to align Saturday night, and I think Lawrence Coley just has his number.
Well, we look forward to a great fight, just 24 hours away. I mean, your tan's nice, and I like the fact you're wearing a black t-shirt today, not that.
Yeah, no, I went back for you though. I wore this today because I knew that I owed you an interview, and I only do interviews with you in black. I don't know what does that mean. Black's, it's not holiday.
Have you been? Is this from here?
This is my holiday.
Shit, man.
This is my holiday, mate. I've been here since Wednesday. Look. You know what I mean? It's coming along. I'm going to have to go for a little swim, you know what I mean?
Boys, before I let you go, quick question. Simon Jordan, you know him very well. You've been on there. I think I saw a clip of you with Simon on the podcast. Carl Froch made some comments that if Anthony Joshua retires today, he has no legacy. And you saw his comments on why he justified that. He said he went life and death with Klitschko, who's been out of the ring for so long. He got beaten by a Mexican fat kid. These are his words. It looks like, does Carl have an agenda, or is he talking facts here?
So I think people are just forgetting the achievements and what he's succeeded and what he's done.
Thank you.
And this is what Carl keeps forgetting what Anthony Joshua has done. And listen, I love Carl. We both love Carl. He's a good sparring man. But I'm just thinking, this guy started boxing at 18 years old. For what he's achieved in such a short space of time, that has got to stand somewhere in history to say, you know, this is what this guy. George Foreman, he'd been boxing a year before he won a gold medal. You know, people are forgetting the successes, what the talent he has. So for what Anthony Joshua has done, I think you've got to commend him. You've got to place him somewhere. Now, after that's all said and done, even if he doesn't become world champion again, you cannot ignore the facts of what he's achieved. 2-time heavyweight champion of the world. This guy has done it all, ticked every single box. He's boxed the most amount of champions going. So I'm sorry, Carl, I don't agree with you. I understand where you're trying to go, but I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, I echo what Johnny says there. It's spot on with that analysis, actually. Like, you can't say the kid's got no legacy when, you know, you follow the journey from where he come from to where he got to. Olympic gold medalist, you know, world silver medalist, 2-time world heavyweight champion, British champion, Commonwealth champion. You can't say, oh, every one of those that he's boxed was a bum. You've got to give the guy, he can only beat what's in front of him, and the legacy's not over yet. You know, if it ended tomorrow, you go, well, he's created some sort of legacy, and I'll tell you why as well, because Anthony Joshua, like many of other champions have not done, is he changed the face of sport, as in inspired millions of kids
and
that had no hope.
And
but had no hope. Millions of kids that come from Kansas State or wherever to say, listen, if you give up what you're doing and focus on something that is good, like boxing, that teaches you not just your life skills, but can give you hope and direction in life, you know, the gyms were packed after that, you know, and that's a legacy on its own. He changed millions of kids, not just in this country, but globally, and I think you've got to give that respect. You know, too many people are too quick to put the guy down. You just remember his journey and where he'll come from, and Johnny, I thought Johnny was spot on with that.
Johnny, you were arguably one of the best cruiserweights to come out of this country. My man Spencer Oliver didn't get to fulfill his career. Obviously, we know why, but pound for pound, same weight, who wins?
Listen, let me just tell you something.
We're the same weight.
We did.
We're the same weight.
We did our box pro workout. We have to film that thing.
Yeah,
This man nearly gave me a heart attack. I'm like thinking, do you ever? It's like an ever-ready battery.
Mate, and
I feel sorry for your woman.
And I'm pumping iron as well. You know, you remember when we was in lockdown?
Listen, that's right. So we're doing curls. I'm a big guy, man, and I'm like thinking, what's wrong
You
with
just said I feel sorry for your woman.
I do.
I feel sorry for her and all, mate.
Johnny Nelson, Spencer, I appreciate you giving me a little bit of time. Enjoy the rest of the day, and yeah, roll on Saturday night.
Can't wait, Raz.
Thank you very much.
Because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.